2 a.m. and she calls me 'cause I'm still awake. Can you help me unravel my latest mistake? Dropped a stitch about 17 rows behind me. There's no way I can pick it up from where I am.
Hello and welcome to the 18th episode of the Sittin and Knittin podcast. I am your hostess, Dianna. Today is Thursday, May 30th, 2013, and I am broadcasting to you from sunny Southwest Ohio, where it's the mid-80s, and welcome to the show. We have a lot to talk about, and I don't want to take a lot of your time, so I just want to jump in and get started. You can find me as His Handmade on Ravelry, His Handmade on Plurk, and on Instagram. I am His Handmade 1 on Twitter. You can find the show notes at sittinandknittinpodcast.blogspot.com. I don't know if I say that too often, but I've been trying to do better with show notes. So if you watch through iTunes or Downcast or something else like that, there are usually show notes on the blog. If you have any questions, you can email me at knittingmother@gmail.com. I'd like to ask, I haven't said it in a while, but if you enjoy the show, if you can take some time to go and leave an iTunes review. I haven't had one since December, where the lovely Paula from the Knitting Pipeline left my last review. And I don't talk about it too much because I tried not to really look at the reviews and get stressed out about whether I was getting a lot of reviews and things like that. I'm not sure how many reviews I have, but I have like 32 star ratings, which is good. And thank you everyone who has posted a review or a star rating. But I would like to ask that if you can take the time, if you could go and kind of update that for me, I'd appreciate it. And I know how hard it is because a lot of the podcasts I enjoy, I don't get over to iTunes a lot, to the iTunes store, because I watch or listen in Downcast to make a review. So just a reminder, not just for me, but your other favorite podcasts, if you can take a little extra time and do that, that would be appreciated. Lots of things to talk about. First of all, we will jump into, I have notes here. We will jump into our contest. We had a May Share contest where I asked you to share your knitting retreat experience, whether you've been to one and any tips and tricks you had, or whether you hadn't been to one or whatever. We had some good conversation in that thread, and we had 11 entries. So we'll draw for a winner. Justice? It's almost dinner time at my house, and the children are putting pizza in the oven, and they're going to do pizza for dinner tonight while I take a little bit of time to podcast. And Justice is going to draw for the winner. And the winner of the May Share contest is B-Wing. Yay! B-Wing, who is Brittany, and she's from Illinois, you won. So that is so exciting. Brittany is an active member of the Ravelry group, and she is becoming a good friend. So thank you, Brittany. Contact me and let me know the pattern of your choice, and I will get that to you. So we have some more contests. Let's see. Where do I want to begin? My Podiversary. It has been almost 1 year since I started the podcast. That will be on June 6th. June 6, 2012 is when I put out my first pilot episode. So there's only been 19 shows in this whole year. But I was thinking back to when I first started podcasting back in June. You know, I wasn't working. I think the children were just out of school. My housework was all caught up, and my home was running like a well-oiled machine. And right. And I had lots of knitting time on my hands, but didn't have a lot of knitting friends. And that's why I started the podcast for the community. And I was enjoying watching podcasts, and I just kind of wanted to throw my hat in the ring. Not too long after that, my gears kind of shifted. I got one part-time job, so-called part-time job, the next month, and it ended up being close to 40 hours a week of work. And then 2 months later, I took on a second part-time job. So I didn't have as much time to dedicate to the podcast as when I first started. There was one point where I didn't even think I could get 10 episodes in. I thought if I get to 10, then I'll probably just not podcast anymore. But it has worked out. Thank you for bearing with me. Sometimes it's only, once a month or whatever that I get to podcast. I'm hoping to do it more regularly. And I seem to be keeping with the bi-weekly schedule okay. So anyway, happy Podiversary to us. I enjoy our Sittin and Knittin podcast community. And so for the Podiversary, I would like to open a thread, and I'm going to have a couple of prizes, and I will talk to you about those prizes later. Well, one of the prizes is going to be, I'm going to gift a couple of Ravelry downloadable patterns, any pattern of your choice, any price. So I'll have two of those to give to you. And also I will have a third gift, and I will talk to you about that later in the show. So under the Podiversary thread, and we will not have a June share this month. We'll just have this Podiversary giveaway as our giveaway for this month. And in the Podiversary thread, I would like to ask you to please share with me how you would like to see the podcast improve. Is there anything that you want me to change? Is there anything that constructive criticism is what I'm asking for? I appreciate all of the nice comments and emails and everything on the blog. And I know, this is, I'm the one podcasting and I kind of do it the way I think. But if there's something that, just, that you want to contribute as far as something that will help make the podcast more enjoyable for you, I can take it. So if you want to do that, I would like to ask you to do that. I would like to just have a decent podcast to put out for you. Everybody's different. Podcasters are different, and I know the shows are different things like that. But just for our community now, that is one thing. And you can do that or tell me what you're knitting. You can either, I would really like it if you would post a picture of your current work in progress or works in progress, one entry per person. So for the Podiversary gifts, and this will run June 1st through June 30th, I would like you to make one post in the thread, and I would like you to share with me what you are knitting, and preferably a picture, but if you don't know how to upload pictures, then you can just describe what you're knitting, but a picture would be preferable. And also in a picture, and you can tell us what you're knitting, and or a constructive criticism. So that is it for our Podiversary giveaway. So I will open that up to you, and we will talk about that more later. Also, I have another giveaway. At the beginning, I think it was in the pilot episode or the first couple episodes, the girls and I were trying to learn to spin, and it just didn't work out for us. We were gifted some fiber and some spindles, drop spindles, and it just didn't work out. We were not able to get the hang of it. And the more I think about it, I don't have a lot of time to dedicate to another craft. I do a lot of sewing, mostly garment sewing for our clothes, so it's not really a craft. I really, really love counted cross stitch, and I've hardly taken time to do that because I do a lot of knitting. I haven't been able to do my reading, which is not a craft, but it's a hobby that I enjoy because knitting is just right now my choice. And so I've been trying to talk my husband into learning to spin. I told him it'd be really good if he learned to spin. He tried to learn to knit and he just really didn't get the hang of it. We might try it again. But if he learned to spin, then that would just be the perfect combination because he could spin and I could knit what he spins. So I have fiber to give away. This fiber comes from Jaja Claus and Sons. Susan Monroy is the fiber artist. And all this says on here is Beatrice. I don't know a lot about fiber. I don't know. It's greens. It looks blue on the screen, but it's not blue. It's green. Yellows and greens. I'm sorry, you can't really get a good picture of it. Maybe I'll try to take a picture and post it in the group. Also, I have this braid. It's 100% Peruvian wool, and it says it is 3.5 ounces. Now, the girls and I tried to spin a little bit of it, so it may not be the whole 3.5 ounces, and it's a pink and purple mix. And I would like to give this away to someone. I would like to share it. It was generously gifted to me. When she heard that we were going to try to spin, she sent this and she sent spindles. This is also from Jaja Claus and Sons. And, oh, not just that, but I also have this braid. It's the same that goes with that other one. So this says 3.4 ounces. So maybe these two together might be close to 7 ounces. Other than that, I don't know much about it. It seems like it's a little felted. So maybe a more experienced spinner would know what to do with it. I don't know a lot about it, but I would like to share it. I would like to give it away. So I'm going to open up a thread in the group. And if you would like that, I would like you to post when and how you learn to spin. And I will leave that open until the end of June, and then I will randomly choose from that thread the person that can get both of them. I'm not really good with sending things out, so I think I'm gonna just send both of these pieces of fiber to one person, because if I try to split it up, it might not get done. So right now, that's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. If I get a lot of entries, maybe I'll split it into. But so that's free fiber. You must be a member of the group, and if you would like it, just let me know. Let's see, is that all that we have as far as our administrative thing? I think it's it. That's it. So we will talk about what's in my hands. And I will go ahead and start with what I've been currently working on feverishly the past couple days, which is my husband's socks. I think at the end of the last podcast, I had talked about what am I going to do, and just the thought came to my mind while I was podcasting that I would make my husband a pair of socks. So this is my first sock is done already. This is Knit Picks Felici Sport in the Riverbed colorway, and I knit it on size 2.75 millimeter double pointed needles, and we'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk about this sock. First of all, I ended up switching all of my talk about ladders and how I went to double pointed needles because I was getting ladders with my magic loop. I've got 3 pairs of socks on the needles, and I think I have 3 pairs of socks on the needles, and I have both of the socks on the needles. So I have like 2, 4, 5 socks on, because this one's done. Well, 4 socks on double pointed needles, and I just cannot seem to get my groove with it. I mean, I've been doing it for a couple months, and I'm still just really not being able to find the fluidity of knitting with the double pointed needles. I mean, I can do it, it's just not coming out smooth for me, and it's not making it enjoyable. I just missed the magic loop. So when I got down to here, I went ahead and put it on a magic loop needle. And the only long 40-inch needle I could find at the time was a size 3, which is a 3.25. So I tried to knit it kind of tight right here so that my gauge wouldn't change. And I hope it seems to be okay. I cast on 64 stitches. I wasn't sure how many stitches to cast on. I've never done a sport weight sock, so I think I listed a pattern on my pattern page, but really all I did was use that for the stitch count. I casted on 64 stitches, and I did a 2x2 rib for about 7 inches, maybe 7 1/4. I measured the other socks I did for him that he liked, and excuse me, that was how long the cuff was. I did a fleagle heel, and then I just did a stockinette foot, and I did the Kitchener toe, which came out pretty nice from what from my standards. I think it's pretty nice. This sock, when I first started, first of all, I got 3 balls of this yarn, and the first ball I started knitting with, I pulled it from the center, and it was a mess. When I got probably this far into the sock, it was knotted up, and it was so frustrating. I was at work and I couldn't get another ball, and that part was very frustrating. So I was going to contact Knit Picks and tell them, and now I don't even know what I did with that ball of yarn. I still might contact them, but it was very, very frustrating. I found this yarn to be slightly splitty. It may have been the needles, because since I've been working on it with my Hayas and the 40-inch on the magic loop, it hasn't been too bad. So I don't know if you can see. I tried to hide, but there seems to be a few nubs in there from where the inconsistencies in the yarn. Yeah, you can see that a little bit right here where the yarn split and things like that. But at first, I know I was talking to a friend and she said, well, it is $2 yarn. I mean, I know it's 100% wool. Let me see if I have the tag. I know it's a superwash blend. It might be 75-25 wool nylon blend. It does kind of feel to me like I'm knitting with acrylic. I don't know why, but it's okay. Another thing that I did not like, okay, I knew that this sock had 4 colors. It has the light blue, and then it has the tan, the dark blue, or the tan, the dark brown, and the medium brown. So I'm thinking 4 colors is going to stripe, light blue, medium brown, dark brown, and tan, or something in that order. But that's not how this stripes. It stripes in color blocks. So it is light blue. Well, first it started off with the tan is where I started. So it goes, not tan, the light brown. Light brown, blue, light brown. That's a color block. And then there's dark brown, tan, dark brown. That's a color block. And it's light brown, blue, light brown. That's a color block. So that's how it stripes. But I didn't realize that at first. So when I got here and the yarn was a mess and I had to switch yarns, and so I started again and thought I was in the right place in the ball, and I wasn't in the right place of the ball because the stripes weren't working out right. So I ripped it out and pulled more yarn out of the new ball and broke it again and was trying to get it to because I had the light brown and then the blue and then the light brown. I didn't put that together. The dark brown and then this tan. So I thought I was going to start with a blue here again, or maybe it had me so confused. I broke off and went searching and searching for through that ball to make the colors only change once before it finally dawned on me that there were color blocks. Now that I know it, it's fine, and I'm fine with it. But my mind could not wrap around that at first, and it wasn't it wasn't. I didn't enjoy it at first, but now that I know, it's okay. Um, and the reason why I found out, I went on. There's only, I think, 3 socks made out of this yarn on Ravelry. And so I went and looked at somebody else's sock and looked at their pattern repeats and saw that that is how it repeats, and it wasn't my fault. Because I thought, I just had a mess. I thought, well, maybe because I'm on my new ball, I pulled from the outside of the ball so I wouldn't have the mess again. And I thought, well, maybe because I'm pulling from the outside, I'm not in the right place. So I broke that off and kept pulling and making little pieces of balls. And it was just a mess. So anyway, I had a lot of ends to weave in here, but there it is. And I cast on right away for the second sock. And so I made the top a little bit, not intentionally, but it's probably 1 or 2 rows more of the light brown than this one, but it'll be okay. He has seen me working on them. He has not asked about them, which I'm surprised because my plan was to only work on them when he wasn't around. But since I've not been working, I've had so much time home, and with this being a long weekend for him, I wanted to get it done, so I've been working on it. But so far, he hasn't asked about them. So hopefully, I'll be able to get those done. I think Father's Day is around the 19th or so. So that is for my first work in progress. And I'm sorry I took so long with that explanation. My second work in progress is my calligraphy cardigan. And I think the last time I saw you 2 weeks ago, I need to start putting the stitch markers in like different podcasters do. And I think Dawn from Knittin, Wolf Farms podcast started that, I think. But I think I was just right here, a couple of inches after the ribbing. So I've gone on to divide for the sleeves. And I don't know if I had mentioned to you all last time I divided for the sleeves on my Abby Cardi. I like to put my sleeves, if I have extra 16-inch circulars, it really doesn't matter the size. The size of the project or smaller is what I like to do. I like to put my sleeves on needles because it's easier to pick up the stitches off of a needle than off a yarn to me. I use the 16-inch because they're shorter and they don't get in the way. So when I put sleeve stitches on holders, if I can, I try to put them on needles instead of yarn. So I just thought I'd mention that. So it's still lovely knitting. I see I have the sun coming in. Okay, there. The sun coming in. So it's kind of shining on the yarn. But I'm love the Daisy Knits yarn. And that's another thing I forgot to speak of at the beginning. She has offered a coupon code for Sittin and Knittin podcast viewers for the month of June. If you go to her shop and if you enter the code thank you 2013, you will get 10% off of your order. So if you will just hold on a minute, I'm going to close my blinds to see if I can get rid of that sun. Okay. I hope this lighting is still okay. So here's my calligraphy cardigan in the Daisy Knits. Oh, I think you can see it a little bit better. It's the Thinking of Mel colorway. I am knitting this on size US 3, I believe. US 3 needles, and I'm not sure of the millimeter needles. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the knit. It's just, stockinette right now. There will be some waist shaping in a little bit, and it's just beautiful yarn to knit with. The base is so lovely to work with. It's an 8-ply, I believe, DK weight yarn, and it's just beautiful to work with. So I did check while I was closing the blinds, and the coupon code is thank you It's just thank you. In all caps is how she had it to me in the message. So if you enter thank you in your checkout, you will get 10% off of your order at Daisy Knits, and she's daisyknits.etsy.com. So that is the calligraphy. And thank you very much, Jennifer, for kindly offering that to our viewers. So if you want to try out this luscious, luscious yarn, you can do that. So that is my work in progress for my calligraphy cardigan. The other cardigan, my other work in progress, if you remember, I have 3 sweaters on the needles. I'll tell you right now, I have not touched the Abigail Cardi, which is out of the Cakewalk Yarns HD 8-ply, and it's a fingering weight yarn. I had divided for the sleeves, and because I've been working on these other things, I didn't get to that. But if you recall, I only had a little bit done on my Mr. Green jeans, and I don't remember 2 weeks ago how much I had done. But I have divided for the sleeves on this, and I have gone ahead and knit to the place where I am supposed to start the rib and cable pattern. And I don't have my iPad to pull up a picture. I have a picture. I should have showed you a picture of the calligraphy, and I'm sorry. But this is the Mr. Green jeans. It's a free pattern from knitty.com, and the author or the designer is Amy Swinson. And that's a back view of it, and it is a V-neck cardigan, and it has stockinette to a certain point, and then it has a ribbon cable pattern at the bottom. This is the first time that I have done this increase like this, and I like it. I liked it pretty well. You know, it was something different for me to do, different type of increase, and so that was fine. So I have not had the quiet mind power time to sit down and start on the cable and rib. I'm sure it's an easy, and once I get in the rhythm of it, I'll be able to do it, but I have not had the time to do that yet. Oh, this is knit out of Valley Yarns. This is from Webb's. It's Valley Yarns. They're Greenwich yarn, which is 100% wool, and it's superwash, and in the colorway is called Shadow. It looks gray there, but it's more of a brown color in person, and it is a worsted weight yarn, and I am using size 5 US 5 needles. I am using US 5 needles. Actually, I'm using 6 for the body, and then I think 5 for the cable and rib pattern. I think that's how it went. So I've switched to the smaller needles now, and I am just ready to start that rib and cable pattern. Is there anything else? The yarn. I talked about the calligraphy and how I love the stitch definition. This yarn is kind of slubby looking to me. It's just not really smooth. I think it's more loosely plied. It's not really a tight twist. I'm hoping that it'll look a little better once it's blocked. But if you can see, I remember how I was just praising my knitting last time. And this is probably more true to, I don't know, the stitches just don't look real even. The stitches are even. It's just that the yarn is kind of, you know, sometimes it was split and I would have to go back and try to correct it, and just the ply of it. It feels nice and soft and squishy, but it's just not as smooth as what I like. So, you know, out of 5 stars, I would give it a 3.5, maybe 3.5. So that is Mr. Green Jeans. And so I have, for works in progress, on my needles, I have 3 sweaters and 3 pair of socks. I have not really touched the Hermione's everyday socks, so I won't even pull those out. I did touch them to switch those to a magic loop needle because I got one sock down to where I'm ready to do the heel. And so I had just finished the cuff on the second sock. And so I switched that to a magic loop needle so I can pick it up and work on it. I think I'll be more apt to work on it just because working with double point needles, um, it's not as convenient either for my on-the-go knitting. I also have my stripy socks that I was knitting, plain vanilla stripy socks out of Hiawassee Creek Dye Works yarn in the Willy Wonka colorway. Haven't gotten much done on those either. I had finished on the first sock, I had finished the heel, and these were toe up, and all I have to do is work up until I run out of yarn. And on the second sock, I have been working on that heel. I'm doing a Flegel heel, and I'm just working on increasing that gusset. It seems like forever. I did a couple of stitches now. I think I'm ready to do my short rows, but nothing really to show you on that. So I've worked a little bit on those. So that's all the knitting that I have done. Under the needle. I had talked in the beginning of my podcast how sometimes I might share what's under my needle, and that might be my cross stitching or my sewing. And I have ventured into a little sewing. I decided to make myself some project bags. I was getting a little, no offense to anyone, but just I've been watching so many knitting podcasts. I was getting a little burnout on my knitting podcast. And a friend suggested, well, why don't you catch up on your craftsy classes, which I thought was a great idea. So while I was doing all that knitting on the Mr. Green jeans and the sock, I was watching a craftsy class. And actually, there are a couple of free ones that I was watching. One was a reversible tote, and the other one was the drawstring bag. These are both free, excuse me. Let me see if I can, sorry to do that. I just wanted to, let's see, it's Kristen Link who did the drawstring bucket bag, and I believe she is the woman behind the Sew Mama Sew blog, and it was an excellent class. I thought she did a really good job, and actually she did all the reversible tote too. And there is a bucket bag class that I watched too. I also watched the free class for doing zippers, and I've done zippers, lots of zippers before, but I learned some new things there. So I decided to try my hand at sewing a bag. The first bag I did was the reversible tote. Now, this fabric that I used, I went stash diving, and this is quilter's cotton fabric that I had in my stash. Right here is a pillowcase that a dear friend of mine had embroidered for me and gave me as a gift, I believe, last Christmas. And I never used them. I never wanted to lay on them. I just never, they were so nice to me. She knew I was going to do it. I had it folded up and put away somewhere. But it was starting to turn yellow, and I wanted to use that. So she gave me 2 pillowcases. So this, so I used those, and then I used some more of this, and I had a different fabric for the bottom. This is a little stiffer fabric, just some fabric scraps that I had. I did interface the fabric because I wanted the bag to be stiff and not collapsible. It is large enough for my Mr. Green jeans, work in progress, and also I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 skeins of that worsted weight yarn in here. Plus, I could fit more. It's nice and big, so it's a good size sweater bag. As the sweater grows, I'm sure that it'll fit. And then I wanted to show you the inside. For the inside, I don't think I interfaced the lining, but this is a flannel lining that I had. And just pretty. I mean, it's my favorite colors. It's coming out pretty true there, green color. It took me a few hours to sew this, and it wasn't, even though I'm proficient, I think at sewing. When it's something I usually don't do, it takes me a while. And so I did box the bottom. That was not, I don't know if that was part, yes, that was part of it. I love the fact that the bottom is boxed and it's not just a flat seam. So I did box the bottom of this bag and I just really like that. Um, I put a handle on it. I think she called for 2 handles. I'm not sure. But I put a handle on it, and also something else that I did that she didn't call for. I posted pictures of this on Instagram and Twitter, and I had a button on it and made a little loop closure, but I really didn't like that. What I really wanted to do and had forgot to make the openings for it was a drawstring. So I went back later that night and I made an opening for a drawstring, and I was looking and looking and looking. I don't really have any ribbon around here, but I had, this is a little thin, I had the leftover ribbon from that bracelet I made for Mom for Mother's Day. So I went ahead and left the beads on it just to give it a little weight, and I used that as ribbon for my drawstring. So I am very, very happy with the bag. I think it turned out really nice. It's fun and I love it. But it was a lot of work, and I have a lot of respect for the Etsy dealers that do this for a living. I'm not able to afford to spend $30 on a bag. I would rather probably you put it in yarn, but it's well worth it for the work that they put into it. So, is there something else I wanted to say? Oh, I wanted to show you my mistake. It looks nice, see? It looks nice. There, and here is my mistake. I have no idea what I did here. But, some kind of way that got off. I think what happened, it's fine over here. It's fine over here. You can't even see the seam. It lines up perfect. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did. It's to make it, I didn't notice it till it was done. Well, no, I noticed it when it was too late. So I went ahead and kept it like that, but that was just, I found out that putting so many layers together. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Just, it was hard to line up the seams, and I don't know. That's what happened. So those are my triumphs and my what do you call it? Defeats in this sewing this bag. So that's one bag that I sewed, and the other bag I did that day is this drawstring bag. So after that, I said, one fabric for me. She had I wanted to make this a little bigger. Now this is holding my calligraphy cardigan. I just wanted to show you. I'm not sure how big the sweater could get because the calligraphy is a pretty large sweater. But so far, it is holding my calligraphy cardigan, and it is also holding um, this, which is about, I think, 300 and something yards, and this one. So it's probably these two plus the sweater. It's holding all of that. I love this bag. The children weren't too keen on the outside. It feels like upholstery fabric. It's really, really thick, so I didn't line it. I mean, I didn't interface it. And for the inside, I lined the inside. I have this white. I like my bags with no pockets, so I really, really like that. And then I did the drawstring. The only thing with the drawstring, I knew because this fabric is so thick that this drawstring would be tight going through the holes. So it is kind of a heavy drawstring, but I like it because it kind of gives it its own handle. I had thought to put a handle on there, but really I don't need one with this particular bag. But until it gets loose, it makes it hard to open because of the drawstring. That's the only down part. it makes it hard to open because it's so tight. So I wanted to say that this is not this bag, but my other giveaway on the Podiversary, um, on the Podiversary gift, my Podiversary giveaway. I am going to I'm going to sew a drawstring bag out of this size. I'll probably use a ribbon for the drawstring, or it won't be so hard to open and close. But I'm not sure what fabric I'm going to use yet, but I would like to share. And so one of the prizes will be a lined drawstring project bag made by me for you. And I'll probably stick a little treat in there too. So for the Podiversary 1 year Podiversary giveaway, I will be giving away 2 patterns, any pattern of your choice that you want, one for each person. So there'll be 3 winners, and the other one will get a project bag. So that is what's been under my needle. Is there anything else I want to share? Oh, I boxed the bottom of this bag, which I really, really like. It gives it just a more of I don't know, I just didn't have 2 pieces sewn together. It is, but I just like the corners, the way they look there. It gives it a little bit more stability, I think. And I really, really like that. So, let's see. That is all I want to say about the bags. And I also had something else under my needle. I did some darning. Thank you, dear Paula from the Knitting Pipeline. When I went there, she did a quick darning tutorial. And really, it's not as hard as I thought. In one of my episodes, have given you my woes on my sock and how the heel had blown out. Well, and this sock is knit out of Dream in Color Smushy. It is, I believe it's, I'm not sure if it's a garter rib or if it's just a rib pattern. I think it's just a rib pattern. Dream in Color Smushy and the Midnight colorway. And I knit these last year. Took me over a year to knit them. And I gave them to my husband. Well, the heel blew out. Let's see. I think this is the second one. So Paula showed us a class. And after that, she said there's plenty of tutorials on on YouTube. So let's see, which one is the first one? So I went on YouTube. I don't know if you can see right there. It's strong and it's going to hold. It's not very pretty, but I tell you, when it's on my foot, it doesn't look as bad as it looks now. And basically, what you do is, I'm going to try it on and see if I can show you how it looks. I don't think I'll be able to show you. But basically, what you do is, if you ever did the pot holders when you were younger, where you would do all of your elastics across, and then you would weave the other elastics in and out, in and out. That's basically what you're doing. So on the first one, on the YouTube video I looked at, she said use embroidery floss. Paula said use silk or something strong that won't tear. So I used embroidery floss on this. And she said use it the whole thickness. I think it's a little too thick. And I think also the reason why it looks like that is because in my mind, I was thinking of sewing the whole clothes, and that's really not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to leave the hole open as much as you can and put your stitches across the hole and then weave through. I hope that's making sense, but there are YouTube videos. So that's why it looks a little pokey here. I used an egg because I couldn't find a darning egg. I used an egg out of my kitchen. And then at one point even, I think I put it on my foot and when I got to the end and was weaving it in and out, and that is interesting to see. On the second one, I was a little more relaxed, and so it's not as, it's more of me darning it flat and not like I'm trying to sew it up. Still, it has these puckers. If you do it right, it will be flat without the puckers. Um, let's see. You can see where I did it. And oh, on this one also, on this second one, I went ahead and used a strand of the yarn with the embroidery floss because I didn't like it on this one with just the embroidery floss. But so I used the yarn and embroidery floss on the second one, and it looks a lot better. So they were both blown out about the same. Um, so anyway, on the foot, it looks and feels great. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to white elephant gift this to my husband for Father's Day. He loved these socks and he was so disappointed when they blew out. So he did not see me darn them. He doesn't know where they are. And so I will put them in his gift bag with his new socks and wait and give that to him on Father's Day. So it'll be like having a brand new pair of socks because he hasn't seen them in about 6 months or so. So he'll be pretty excited about that. Okay. I think that is all for what is in my hands. I think I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you very much for joining me. Um, I don't, since I've talked so much, I don't think that there is a lot that I can, that I'll share with you for Knitting Circle. Oh, I know there is one thing I want to talk about. Thank you very much to everyone who gave suggestions. Looking for my knitting so I can knit while I'm talking, but I can't find it. Everyone who gave suggestions for Father's Day gifts for my dad. I have been so busy with everything that I've been working on. We've had the end of the school year come up. I had the end of the school year banquet yesterday. I hadn't gotten around to starting, but what I think I'm going to do, out of all the wonderful suggestions, I think I'm going to do a cloth, like a towel for him to use when he's riding his bike, and also some mitts. Now, am I going to get that done before Father's Day? I'm not sure, but that is my plan for what I'm going to do for him for Father's Day. So hopefully I can get it done. I need to get these socks done, and I don't think the cloth will take long. And I don't think I'll do, with it being linen, I don't think I'll do any fancy stitch or anything. It'll probably be stockinette stitch or garter. I'm not sure. I'll see what works best for linen, or maybe even a basket weave, because it's probably going to be black anyway. I have not even made my order from Quince and Company like I wanted to, so I need to go ahead and do that. But I wanted to say thank you to everyone who gave all their ideas about nice gifts to give to fathers and men who usually don't use a lot of hand knits. I appreciate that so much. So, let's see, is there anything else? I have had a relaxing past couple of weeks. Well, past week. The first week after the last podcast, we were finishing up with school and different things like that. But this past week has been really nice. My sixth son turned 9 on Monday, which was Memorial Day, May 27th. And so it's been about 9 years since I've been podcasting or knitting. I taught myself to knit uh, 9 years ago, right after my sixth child was born, and he was my sixth child in 12 years. And I was a homeschooling mom at that time. And I knew how to crochet and was doing crochet, had been doing it for a couple of years, but I always looked at knitted garments and longed to knit. I just like the way knitted garments look. I still like crochet, I like how crochet hats and bags and afghans look, but I always looked at knitted fabric, knitted sweaters and different things like that, and longed to know how to do it. And I always heard that it was hard because, you use two needles instead of one hook. But we lived down the street from the library, and it couldn't have been, I don't even think it was 6 weeks after he was born. He was a pretty high needs baby too. I went down to the library and I got The Idiot's Guide to Knitting and Crocheting and Knitting for Dummies. And I sat down with those and some boys straight needles. I think I had also got at Walmart the I Taught Myself Knitting book. So those needles that came in there and some red heart yarn, and I taught myself to knit. And it was a saving grace for me and for my children. I have learned a lot of patience in my knitting. I've learned to take things apart and to take time with things, and it doesn't just, that doesn't just, I don't just do that with my knitting now. With situations that I meet in life, I've just kind of, life is not just yarn, it's your children's lives and their minds and their souls and everything that you're molding. But at the same time, it's, how do you describe it? It just helps me to relax even in the situation. It just helps me to take time and look at things in a different perspective. So that was 9 years ago. And one thing about the knitting, and I think I talked about this in the pilot episode, when I was learning to knit and I was reading from the books and everything, one thing that did not click for me with the knitting was I still wasn't forming my stitches right, and I was wondering what is it? How come I can't get this? And I had an eccentric older woman that lived next door to me, and she saw me sitting on the porch, trying to learn to knit with the baby, by my side. And she came over and she said, "Oh, I haven't knit in a long time." And she saw what I was doing, and what I was not doing was I was not pulling the working yarn down between the stitches all the way to complete the stitch. And so once that clicked for me, she gave me a yarn. She said front to back, wrap until it clicks back to the front and off the stitch. And that was the one thing I didn't do. When I was wrapping the yarn, I wasn't pulling it down between the needles. And so that was it. I took off from there, and I enjoyed knitting from there. So that's a little bit about me and that 9th anniversary of my knitting and my son's birthday, and we had an enjoyable day with that. And he is a sensitive and delightful child. So thank you very much for joining me. I will see you in 2 weeks around June 15th. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me as his handmaid on Ravelry, or email me at knittingmother@gmail.com. All the information about the giveaways will be in the Ravelry group. Please come over and join the group. Thank you for all the new members that I've seen pop up lately. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the group. I really appreciate you participating in the community. And thank you for all the comments and the private messages and the blog comments and the posts. So take care and have a good day.
It's so frustrating, I feel I should just slam it down on the table and walk away madly. 'Cause my stitches don't count up and I missed a cable. This yarn's not the size that it says on the label. Now I can't find which repeat I am on. I think I should have a sip.